Hey, good afternoon and welcome to Daily Distinction. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for joining and thank you for sharing and being here and sharing in your comments and also sharing this to the people that follow you. I begin this way every day, and it's part of how we keep this thing going and why it's important to keep it going. And that's because you take time to share. And I look every day to see who has shared, and I can't thank you enough. And I especially want to give a big shout out to my friend Charles Coachman. Charles, you share this every day, and I know that many times you're also sharing it from the replay. So I appreciate that greatly, greatly, greatly. And to everybody that shares this so that we get more people, watching and listening and talking and thinking about it, that's really, really important. And I truly, truly appreciate that. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being a part of this every day. I appreciate it so much as I hope you don't get tired of me telling you how much I appreciate it. And as folks who sign it on and coming in, I'll remind you too about distinctionnation.com. That's where you can download free resources. If you haven't signed up yet, why not? Just go sign up. There's free resources there. See what's available. Just go to distinctionnation.com. Join the nation. Also, the reminder, too, that you can listen 24/7 to Distinction Radio. All you need to do is say to your Amazon device, Alexa, play Distinction Radio. And you'll be hearing all kinds of good stuff about how to grow your business and how to deliver the ultimate customer experience and what it takes to stand out in today's marketplace. So there we go with all of that. Thank you for being here. And also the reminder, too, that we've got a great guest coming up on Friday, day after tomorrow. Dan Genghis, who's a customer experience expert, is coming. Also, I've got to get in touch. And if you're watching this, Joseph, I'm behind on this. We've got to talk to Joseph Jaffe, who was kind enough to have me on his show. I want to bring him here. He's done some fascinating daily live streams, and we're going to talk about some of the things that he's talked about on that. Okay, does it seem to you sometimes like the world is going crazy? Seem to you that the world is going nuts? Please, 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 please don't misunderstand me. I am not talking about the changes that are happening in our culture that need to be discussed and that need to be advanced and that needs to change. And that's not what I'm talking about at all. But my goodness, it seems like there's been so much, whether it's the pandemic and sheltering in place or whatever it might be, it just seems so overwhelming all of a sudden. I mean, it's not that on Facebook, you get these reminders of what was going on a month ago and you think, or a year ago. And I'm thinking, holy cow, it seems like a decade ago that was happening. I had a thing pop up with my great friend, Scott Friedman, and it was us having a dinner in Denver 5 years ago. And it just seems like, holy cow, it seems like a lifetime ago. So, man, oh man, it just seems that we have been covered up in change. So what do you do to keep yourself grounded as the world around you is in upheaval? What do you do to keep yourself grounded when the world around you is going nuts? That's what we're going to talk about on today's Daily Distinction. So I'm really glad that you're here. And Sonia, oh, great. I'm glad that you and Shelly connected. That's really cool. Well, I'm her biggest fan as well. Shelly's my sister, by the way, for those of you that don't know. And Shelly is the chief operating officer of our little business. She keeps the wheels on the bus. So I appreciate that, Sonia. Thank you. Thank you for that. Scott, always great hearing from you. I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you for sharing, too. I noticed that, and I really appreciate it. And Anil, oh, so nice to see you. Oh, yes, Lady and the Champs, back in 2015. You remember Taxi Terry. That is so kind. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you for being here, and thank you for watching the show. So what do we do when the world around us goes crazy? How do we stay grounded when all of this is going on? And it seems to happen all at once, and I hear people just wanting things to get back to normal. Have you said that? I've said that. Oh, man, as soon as things get back to normal, and you've heard me say here before, and I will say it again, it's not. It's not. It's not going to be like it used to be. And in some ways that's good. And in some ways it's scary. And in some ways it's, there's a myriad of things that it is, but it's not going to get back to exactly the way it was before because things change. And it's funny how they can go along for a period of time and seem relatively stable and relatively static. And all of a sudden there's all this big, whoo, what happened? And there's revolution. And then things are always different. Now, that doesn't mean that everything will be different. That's not what I'm saying at all. And you know it's not going to be that way. But there's some things that are never going to be the same. And there's some things it's going to take a long time to catch up. So how do you stay grounded when the world around you is going crazy? That's what we're talking about today. Yes, Pam, the wheels on the bus go round and round. Thanks to Shelley. And hey, Jesse, great to see you in Wyoming today. Thank you so much. Oh, Mr. Boyce, that is so kind. I appreciate that. Thank you. I've noticed that you're here every day and that you're watching on Periscope, Twitter, and I truly appreciate it. And define normal. Yeah, great question. What is normal? And I think normal is varied for different people, but normal consists of the typical day and the typical expectations that we have about how our life is going to be lived. Does that make sense? In other words, it's what we have become accustomed to is what is normal. What have we become familiar with? What have we become accustomed to? That becomes our normal. You know, getting in the car and going and my wife Tammy's back is traveling right now, and getting in the car and going down and sitting at my favorite steakhouse at the bar and talking to the bartender and having a meal, and no, I can't do that anymore like we used to. Or my bartender has a mask on, or I mean, it's changed so much. So I guess the definition I would share of normal is that it is whatever we have become accustomed to, or whatever has become our habit. And now all of a sudden it's, well, Phil, yeah, it's the new abnormal. Right? I mean, it's the abnormal, because it just doesn't feel the same. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Yes, formerly from Indiana. Now they're in Charlotte. I appreciate that. That's very cool. So what do you do when the world is so different and is so changing? And let me give you 6 things that I think we all need to consider. 6 activities that are going to help us stay sane when the world around us is going crazy. Some we've talked about here before, but I wanted to put it in a package in this way so we can think about these as 6 simple steps that's going to help us. It's not going to eliminate the problem. It's not going to, because it feels very uncomfortable. If it's normal, it feels comfortable. And it can't be uncomfortable and be normal, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. Anything is new, anything is changed, anything is different feels uncomfortable, at least at first. So there's going to be a great degree of discomfort. So how do we handle that? So here's the first of the 6. And we've talked about it here before, but it's starting with expressed gratitude. I'm not talking about just keeping it inside. I'm saying that you express gratitude. Now, if the gratitude is, gosh, it's a beautiful day, I'm not saying that you necessarily throw the front door open and stand on your front porch and say, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. People will, assume you're impersonating Mr. Rogers or something there, I guess. But why not write it down? Why not keep a gratitude journal? Or even if you've got like a daily organizer, a day planner, just a little something in the margin where you jot down. There's kind of a daily ritual involved with a daily planner that I have, where it begins with every morning writing down 3 things you're grateful for. I notice that when you point out something or when you focus on something, particularly first thing in the morning, you tend to notice it more throughout the day. So if I notice at the beginning of the day the things that I'm grateful for, then it tends to expand throughout my day. I tend to find more things to notice. Maybe subconsciously, it's just because I want to fill in my journal the next day. Or maybe it's because I've become a more appreciative person. But nonetheless, starting the day with expressed gratitude, not just the kind you carry around inside yourself, but that you're willing to write it down, or if you appreciate somebody, letting them know of that. It helps them, but it also helps you, because the gratitude that we express, it's not like there's a finite amount of it. Some people act like that there's only so much gratitude they can express in their lives, and once the tank is empty, then it's done. Right? And so they hang on to it. I'm not going to tell them that, they'll get the big head, or I'm not going to tell them that, or they'll stop working. We make all these rationalizations, all these excuses. Express it. Find a way to express your gratitude. Yeah, it is uncomfortable, isn't it, Jerry? Because there is so much change and so much going on, which is why it's important we anchor that in gratitude. There you go, Sonia. Start your gratitude journal. Those are important things that you are doing. So being sure that you share that with your journal or with yourself, just to get it out. The other thing, it's a reminder when you're having a bad day, you can go back and look through that gratitude journal and be reminded of some of the things, especially when we need it most. Be reminded of some of the things that make life worth special. Oh, that's fantastic. I know they're getting some rain in southern Indiana, Pam, so glad to hear it's a beautiful day there. So that's a great place to start with gratitude. Here's the second: follow with movement. Any kind of movement. Getting out and taking a walk in nature is something that always makes for a better day. And the other thing is, I know this sounds corny, but there is something about when you see, a tree that's been there for 50 years, or when you connect with things that have been around for a while. Sometimes when things are changing, it feels such an upheaval. It feels so dramatic that sometimes we need to anchor ourselves with that. While change might be important and might be exactly what's needed, we're going to be okay. We're going to be fine. We just have to learn from this and process from this and move forward. But we're going to be okay. And I know the challenges are significant and severe, and what you perceive as the challenges and what I perceive might be dramatically different. But we have to believe we're going to be okay. And we have to believe it's okay to take steps. And so one of the things that we do is take steps, literally, physically. Walk around the block. Do something. Because that movement will create a better attitude. Look, we could go into the whole thing, and I'm not a doctor. We could go into the whole thing about the creation of endorphins and how that stimulates better thinking and all of the science behind that. The important point is, as Tony Robbins says, motion creates emotion. And if we want to stay on top of our emotions, then let's find a way to get some motion into what we're doing. Third, write it down. Everything, write it down. It gets so easy in this time that we can ask a digital assistant, whether it's Google, Amazon, or Apple, to remember something or write something, take something down or remind me of this appointment or ask them a question. But I don't know, there's just something about the physical act of writing things down. Everything from a to-do list to your gratitude journal to your goals and your plans. When we write them down, there's just some connection. There are studies about it that suggest it's part of our DNA. It's been part of evolution. It's wired into us, that there's this connection between writing it down and how we feel in the brain and how it makes us think and how it makes us feel. I don't know. And I know what the research says. I think it's fascinating. At the end of the day, though, I know that we feel more complete when we can look at a list and say, hey, this is what I got done today. Or we can look at a list and say, this is what I need to do today. By writing it down, it is not just a organizational technique. It really helps to ground us, to focus our attention on what we can do and what matters. I did a video a while back about how to deal with worry. One of the interesting things when you think about worry is that it's nothing more or less than negative goal setting. Really. I mean, that's what worry is. It's actively focusing on and centering on what we don't want to have happen. So how do you deal with worry? It begins by writing down what you're worried about. Have you noticed the more that you think and the more that you worry about something, it gets in a spot. It never gets better the more you worry about it. It always gets worse, right? Oh, I'm behind on this month's credit card payment. Oh, I'm going to worry about that. Oh, wait, they'll probably cut off my cards and then I won't be able to do this and that and the other. Oh, wait, if they cut off my cards, well, maybe I won't be able to make my house payment. Well, then they're going to repossess my, it just keeps going on and on. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So what you have to do is stop the process. So you write it down. What are you worried about? Write it down. Then you critically ask yourself, is that what I want to have happen? Well, because it's your worry, the obvious answer is no. I don't want to have that happen. So then the next question becomes, okay, so if that's what I don't want to have happen, what do I want to have happen? And then you write that down. Now you've changed the negative into a positive. Now instead of a worry, you got a goal, at least an objective. So then you start writing down what you can do to help. Now, if what you're worried about is, for example, racism, hottest topic in the country right now, something we should have been talking about for years, something we are talking about finally, thankfully now. You can't wave a magic wand and solve that problem. We just can't. None of us individually can do that. So what do we do? Well, is racism what you want to have happen? Of course not. Absolutely not. That's repugnant to even think about. So what do you want to have happen? You write that down in your own words, not anyone else's, not mine, not anyone else. Write down what do you do want to have happen? And then ask yourself, what can I do about it? Look, it might be as simple as reaching out to friends and letting them know you care. It might be as much as making a sign and walking in the next protest. It might be as much as looking at the people around you and asking, are they enlightened as you hopefully are? Or do you need to be hanging around people who have a different perspective? Are there people you need to leave behind? Whatever it might be for you is the right answer. And then take action on that. What can you do? Write it down. Write it down. Yeah, Phil, you're right. Endorphins. People without parents have to stay inside. Yes, in and orphans. I like it. Yeah, worry is meditating for negative results. I like that one too, Phil. That's a great line. Yeah, when you're worrying, you're meditating about getting bad results. That is good. Hey, Ken, great to see you as always. What a great endorsement you got from Mark Victor Hansen. Man, that video is fantastic. Congratulations to you on that. So we're going to write it down. Here's the next thing. So after you write it down, what do you do? And if you're thinking about what's going on in the world right now, what do? I'm going to give you number 4 that might be a little controversial, but it's something I think we all need to consider. And that is, if in doubt, don't send it out. Seriously. If you have any doubt about the next Facebook post you're going to make or tweet that you're going to send out there or what you're going to say next on LinkedIn, if in doubt, don't send it out. Do yourself and your friends a favor and don't send it out. Don't send it out. It's not worth it. We are in a gotcha culture. We're in a culture that if somebody says something that we perceive to be incorrect, we want to jump on and announce to the world how wrong they are rather than to send them an email or pick up the phone and say, I got a problem with what you just said. Can we talk about it? Now, I'm not saying that you don't publicly disclaim what somebody might say. I'm just saying there's something that with integrity we should do first. I don't think that's asking too much. And if in doubt, don't send it out. I'm not even saying that you never send it out. I'm saying don't send it out in that moment. Give yourself some time to think. Step away for a little bit. Think about it for a little bit. Man, I tell you, I am sure that if somebody went through every tweet or Facebook post I have ever made, they would find something that I wish I could take back. Heck, maybe in the last month, right? I mean, uh, trying to be funny and it wasn't, or trying to be a smart aleck and it came out wrong, or trying to show that I knew something that I didn't really know as well as I'm presuming I do. I've made mistakes here, man, and I don't know any of us that could survive the scrutiny if everything we posted and everything we said over the course of our entire lifetime, if you could just pull out one snippet of that and analyze that one snippet under a microscope. Um, but I don't want to I don't want to continue to do that. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be more considerate in terms of what I say and what I post and what I do. And so if there's a moment of doubt, you don't have to do it right then. Social media is not like milk. In other words, you can put it on the shelf for a while. It ain't going to spoil, right? But we get so consumed with these hot takes that sometimes we make a mistake before we do it. Hey, Bruce, great to see you. Yes, sometimes I write it, wait 30 seconds and delete it. I love that. I love that. Write it, delete it before sending. There is a great technique, I guess is the word I'm looking for, that psychologists use that you're probably aware of, where they get you to write down, if somebody in your life has hurt you or wronged you or made you angry, many times a tool that psychologists will use is to have you write them a letter. And you write it down and you put all the venom and passion in it that you possibly can about how they have wronged you and what they have done. And then the psychologist leads you to a bowl where you set the letter on fire. You don't send it. There are a couple people that come into my mind right away who have in my life really hurt me and from my perspective wronged me. And I've had people say, well, why don't you talk to him? Have it out with him. You know something? I'd rather just forgive them and move on, right? Telling them, I know them well enough to know that telling them is going to make them defensive, and they will defend the very behavior that upset me and that I got to move on from. So first of all, why? I'm not being a coward about it. I've thought it through step by step that it is not worth it to me emotionally to have to go through that. I got to move on, got to move forward. And secondly, I know them well enough to know that because they were so unconcerned about my feelings when they did this, I don't think they've changed their spots that all of a sudden they're going to see the light. I don't think everybody is like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about a couple specific, precise incidents. But the main thing is we got to move on. We've got to move on. Sonia wrote a long post a couple days ago. When she tried to post it, she accidentally deleted it. There you go. That's a sign from heaven, Sonia. It was your sign to let it go, and it wasn't supposed to be out in the world. It was just out of your heart, and that's a great thing. Someone once said to me, I'm not responsible for what I think. I'm responsible for the actions I take. There are not enough prisons on the planet to hold me for all my thoughts. Yeah, you bet, kid. How many times have we used the phrase, if looks could kill? And thank goodness they don't, right? So, yeah, pick your battles, Deborah. Hey, it's great seeing you here. I really appreciate you. And yeah, pick your battles. Some folks say don't feed the trolls. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But I think it's important to note, if you have any doubt about it, just don't send it. Don't post it. Just pass. Next, be intentional. Man, with social media, with Netflix, it is so easy to go down a rabbit hole, and all of a sudden it's an hour, 2 hours later, and we've done absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have recreational breaks. I'm not saying we shouldn't binge this season of Ozark. I mean, but if you do it because you decided to do it, not because you're just sitting there aimlessly flipping channels and stumbling on it, be intentional. Protect your time. You've heard me quote Benjamin Franklin, who said, if you love life, waste not time, because time is the stuff life is made of. Protect your time, protect your energy. Getting in these online battles drains you. Protect your energy and be intentional about your attention. What are you going to focus on? What are we going to focus on? Protect that. It's part of how you stay sane while the world around you goes crazy. Next, lower your expectations. Isn't it? There's an old joke, Jerry Vaughn, that watches here occasionally. We were state FFA officers together, and one of our funny lines, we'd visit these companies and we'd say, we don't raise our standards, we lower our expectations. I always think of that every time this comes up. But, don't feed an argument. You can't expect everybody to think the way that you think. You can't expect everyone to have the same standards that you do. I'm not saying you lower your expectations about yourself. I'm just saying lower your expectations about what you expect from others, because you may be holding them to a different standard than they hold themselves. Don't feed an argument. Don't feed an argument. Don't base your argument upon your expectations of what someone else ought to think. That's the point. Don't feed an argument that's based on that you expect someone else to think the way that you think. It's not worth it. So here's the 6 again. Start with expressed gratitude. Name it and claim it. Say what it is. Second, follow with movement. Do something. Get outside and I'm not saying you got to try to be a bodybuilder and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm saying just move. Just do something. Get something to get the blood pumping in and get yourself moving. Third, write it down. Whatever your plans are for the day, whatever your goals are, whatever it might be, even what you're grateful for, write it down. Put it down. Next, be careful about what you post in public. If in doubt, don't send it out. And the reason for that is we're going to protect our time and our energy and our attention. And we're not going to feed arguments, because as the world is going crazy around us, it's hard for us to stay grounded if we're always trying to put out the fires of arguments in multiple places. And here's a little bonus one. Stop whining. Don't misunderstand. Oh, good grief. Please don't misunderstand. I am not saying that if what you're doing is complaining and advocating for social justice, that you need to stop that. I am not saying that at all. What I am saying is it really gets easy. And the things you point out are the things that you need to work on yourself the most. Speakers often, the subjects they talk about are often the ones that they need to keep learning about in their own lives. And so I'm putting this here as much for me as for anybody. When things change, we get inconvenienced. It feels so awkward. It feels so uncomfortable. And therefore, we can get in this habitual pattern of complaining and whining about, I don't understand why we got to wear a mask. I don't understand why we can't go and the bars can't be open. Stop it. It is what it is, right? Stop it. Just stop whining. Let's figure this out. Let's be positive about it. Let's take positive action rather than whining. Yeah. It's a reminder of my friend Larry Winget's book about shut up, stop whining, and get a life. Right? That's what we're doing. Brian, Christine is one of the great. She's fantastic. Stop global whining. I love that. Yes, social media is not like milk. It will not spoil if you put it on the shelf for a while. Whining is anger trying to get through a small opening. Yes, I love that. Yeah, under promise, over deliver. Jim, I think that we do what we said we would do when we said we would do it. That's what I talk about in the book Iconic, is that if what we do is exactly what we said we would do when we said we would do it, then we're going to be absolutely fine. So there's 6 plus a little PS of things that we could do to make certain that we are grounded when the world around us is going crazy. I hope your world is a little less crazy today. And I hope that you are a little more grounded today and in the future. And that does it for today's Daily Distinction. Again, my favorite half hour of the day. I'm so thrilled that you would take time to watch and so thrilled that you'll be here. And I hope you'll be here again tomorrow when we do it again. Same time, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on Daily Distinction.